everybody, welcome. Welcome to Lunch in Arbor Marketing. How's everybody doing today? Doing good? Who wants to learn about some new sales prospecting techniques? Yes, all right, there we go. It doesn't involve going to the Nectarine Ballroom and hanging out. No, there's different techniques you can use. We'll teach you those. So, anyways, my name is Derek Marabon, CEO of Ingenix Digital Marketing. This is Stacy Collick from Dollar Bill Copy. And this is Lunch in Arbor Marketing. We meet every week, as you know. We are taking off the month of August. Okay, so feel free to plan your vacations for that time. We're also not going to be here on July 21st, which is the first day of Art Fair, yes, right, because it's going to be a Zoom. So you're welcome to come down to the Art Fair, but there won't be lunch here. So
what about taking vacation during the Art Fair?
Yeah, take a vacation during the Art Fair, yes. You can go in August too, just won't be. But anyway, so the reason Stacy's up here is, as you know, if you want to eat lunch, a lot of you, actually, how many of you are first timers? First timers, okay, good. We got a bunch of first timers. Welcome. So for all you new folks, just so you know, if you want to eat lunch, which they have really good lunch here, it's $10 and that includes your lunch, a drink, and a tip. Okay, so that's $10. You pay the men and women in black. If you want to chip in, we are a non-profit organization. Well, we're almost a non-profit, right? We're like very, very close. And Robert Shannon over here is our volunteer CPA. He's eating his turkey Reuben. But Robert's going to call the IRS right after this meeting, right, Robert? And give him help because it's taken so long to approve our non-profit application. And Stacy is our treasurer, so I'm going to let her talk to you for just a moment and give you an update.
Hi, everybody. So we are waiting patiently for our nonprofit status, and in the meantime, we have collected $4,000. So as soon as we get our nonprofit status, we'll have a committee meeting, and we'll be able to finally figure out what kind of educational, great things we're going to do with all the money, which will be wonderful. So I'm going to pass the bucket. Suggested donation is $3. Less or more is fine, whatever you want to do, we'll just pass it around. And of course, as soon as we get that status, we'll be informing everybody on the website and everything what we do with the great money. Thanks.
And the money also helps cover our hard costs, whatever. This is all volunteer organization. We're all volunteers, right? And you volunteer to come here to listen, so that's great. That's a win-win. But okay, so just to give you an idea of format, our speaker talks for about 30 minutes, and then we do some Q&A. At the end, you will have a chance to introduce yourself and tell us who you are and tell us about your company. Okay, so that's a nice time. Everyone gets to know each other. And we always finish by 1 p.m., right? Except that one week when I had to leave early and we went a little over, right? We had 2 speakers. Yeah, we went a few minutes over. But that's okay. That's okay, because we almost always finish by 1 p.m., 99.9% of the time. So, and if you are new, please join us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn group, and there's a lot of great networking goes on there. And we have a website at LA2M.org. Okay, so all of these programs are archived there. Podcasts, Vince Shimlevsky, VC Webdesign records them for podcasts. Roger Rail records them for video. And you can actually watch live. So we probably have some people watching live now at LA2M.org/live. Yeah. 6 people watching live. Probably 5 of those are in Iceland. I'm not sure why. But we got a big following in Iceland. So that's my weekly joke. Yeah, we're very big in Japan too. But anyway, so enough of me blabbing. So our guy speaking today is a regular. Mike is a regular. He's a great guy. He's a salesman. He's a family man. And I think he has a lot of knowledge to share. So please give a round of applause for Mike Wynn of Sandler Sales Training.
Derek said all those nice things. Did I hear I can talk for as long as I want. Stacy's going to pay me $4,000. Something like that. Okay. Hey, we're going to talk about prospecting. I got to tell you right up front, we're going to talk about some fairly fundamental stuff. What I hope you get out of this is 1 or 2 new tricks that you can actually apply in your world, and maybe a little bit of review of some things you're already doing or know about. Okay? So when we talk about prospecting, just as an intro, I really want to drill down into 10 specific areas that I think are very important for anybody in the professional services business. Now, anybody here consider yourself in the professional services business? That's what I was thinking. So you have to sell, but you also have to deliver, and you're known for your expertise, and really your credibility as an expert, as a professional, is something that is what you market. Okay, fair enough. So we're going to talk about some tips from that area. It just turns out that a lot of that stuff applies to everybody. So we're going to talk about prospecting mix and prospecting mindset first as a bit of an introduction. And let's start with the whole prospecting mindset part. Now what is prospecting? Somebody help me out here. What the heck are we talking about? Sales prospecting. Shaking trees. I think of it as you're trying to put yourself in a position where you have a conversation with somebody to figure out whether or not it makes sense to talk about what you do. Okay, fair enough. So the first thing you have to realize with prospecting is, and this is our saying, you can only fail at prospecting if you fail to prospect. So what happens if you're going on, this is especially true in professional services. I talk to people all the time, and they've got a client that's 80% of their revenue, and everything's going strong. They lose that prospecting muscle. They stop going to networking events. They stop giving talks. They stop meeting new people because they're reliant on this one client and what usually happens. Yeah, when you take on a big client, guys, every day is a day closer to them firing you. Think about that. Every day is a day closer to them going away. Nothing's ever forever. So you have to keep prospecting. You have to keep getting out there. And the nice thing about it, though, is prospecting isn't selling. Prospecting is simply a sorting exercise, right? It's having a conversation with people to figure out whether or not it makes sense to talk about if you might be a fit. Now, you might have to talk to a lot of people, but for me, this mindset of sorting was really important. I didn't feel rejected 24 out of 25 times when I realized I'm just sorting out the people who don't want to talk to me, the people who do want to talk to me. So that was a big one for me. So let's talk about prospecting mix. Now, it's very important that you have a mix of prospecting activities. And the reason is that you don't want to put too much pressure on any one activity. I mean, what if all you did for trying to meet new people was come to LA2M? It's a good place to come. You should come every week. But what if that's all you did? A little bit of pressure to make sure that you meet enough new people, and a little bit of maybe that comes out in your conversations with folks. And one thing you don't want to do when you're prospecting is to put pressure on people. So the best thing you do is take the pressure off yourself by having a mix of prospecting activities. And this is my from my first year to my second year in this business at Sandler Training, where my prospecting was successful. So this is where my meetings came from. And you see that in the first year, most of it was cold calls and networking, because that's what you can do when you're new in a business, right? So a lot of getting on the phone and making cold calls. Rich is learning about cold calls. He joined us a couple weeks ago. So how many dials, Rich? 50?
Today only
40 a day? It's 40 dials a day to build your business. Now, it's not forever, right? That's the second lesson. You want to have a mix of prospecting activities, but you got to realize nothing's forever. So our rule for cold calling is, and maybe it doesn't even apply in your business, but if it does, you don't have to like making cold calls, you just got to do them. Okay. So we have to build that cold call muscle. Now, in the second year, you can see that the things started to change. So cold calls became a very much smaller part of it, and then to networking and cold calling, a couple of things like getting referrals from clients, because I finally had clients, so I didn't start out with clients. And second, doing presentations, get to know some folks. Megan over here, there's Megan, yeah, she can slide in for a presentation, good stuff. And out of that, we were able to generate some meetings. Now, prospecting can be active or passive. So passive prospecting is when you go out and you do things and you aggressively wait for the phone to ring. Okay, so our presentations, active or passive. Active means at the end of whatever the activity is, you've got a specific person to call and arrange an appointment. So presentations, active or passive? They're usually passive, aren't they? I'm going to show you today how we can make them active without putting pressure on people, make it real simple. So presentations can be an active activity if you take a couple of steps. So now I'm going to talk from a document called the Top 10 Strategies for Growing Your Professional Services Firm. And I'd be happy to make this document available to you after the talk. There's a lot of details in there, tips and tricks, do's and don'ts, that sort of stuff. And I'd be happy to email it to you. First one is client introductions. Anybody here have clients? Anybody? Okay. Best source of referrals. Why do you think that is? Why are clients your best source of referrals?
They already know you and like you.
How about that? They already know you and like you. So there's an element of trust there, right? Now here's the trick though. I came from consulting. I spent 19 years in the consulting business, and I focused all of my energy and effort on servicing my clients, doing a great job for them. We had a saying, make an impact, create delight. We wanted them to be delighted every time the phone rang and they picked it up and it was us, best day of their week. Right? That's what we wanted to create. We wanted to make an impact on their business. Whatever their measurable results were they were looking for from us, we wanted to kick butt in that area. Think that generated referrals? Client introductions? Nope.
Not how much they ask for.
Nope, you got it. That's exactly it. There's a rule of thumb. Don't know if it's science or if it's just something we made up. 20% of people will never give you a referral. Never going to happen. They just don't do that. Okay, it's not about you. It's about them. 20% of people are going to fall over themselves to give you an introduction without you asking for it. They just love to do that sort of stuff. That's how they're wired. What are the other 60% of people doing? It's like they're waiting for you to ask, right? So more than half of your clients are waiting for you to ask them for an introduction. Imagine that. That's the mindset you got to go into it. Now you got to use a little finesse when you ask, right? Because, well, why don't we ask for referrals? Why don't we ask our clients to introduce us to other people that might benefit from our services?
Fear.
Fear of what?
Rejection.
Fear of rejection, fear of, what was that?
Bothering them?
Bothering them, yeah, big time, big time. Don't want to irritate them. They're our best clients. And the last thing you want to do is to violate the trust they have in us, right? So there's some ways to do that with finesse. So one of the first things you want to do is to tell your clients up front that, hey, from time to time, I'm going to ask you for referrals. Can you do that? Can you tell them, hey, love doing business with you, but from time to time, I'm going to ask if you know anybody who might want to meet, you might want to introduce me to. That's a trap. Once you do that, which I find to be a pretty easy thing to do, then asking for the introduction becomes super easy. So that's your starting point. The other thing you want to do is you don't want to just take a name and a phone number, right? A name and that's called a cold referral. Not very productive. You pick up the phone, hey, you know Derek Maribon? Yeah, I know him, but I wouldn't admit to it in public. Okay, we're done. We're in trouble there. So you want to ask for an introduction. What would happen is that if Derek were to say, Mike, you ought to call my friend, you know, I think he needs to talk to you. Don't know if he needs your services or not, but he should at least talk to you and say, Derek, hey, I appreciate that. Really, man, that's great. Why do you think that this person would want to talk to me? Can you feed me a little bit of information? So, you know, Derek, the last thing I want to do is to bother somebody with a phone call that doesn't want to take my call. How do you feel about maybe picking up the phone, calling your friend, and seeing, you tell him why you thought he might want to talk to me, and seeing if he wants to take my call. And I'd be happy to call him if he wants to take my call. And if not, no worries. How often do you think my clients agree to do that? What percent of the time? 60%? No, 100% of the time. 100%. Because who wants to get a phone call from somebody if they don't want to take it? All right, we just put ourselves in those shoes. So pretty straightforward stuff. So client introductions, number one. Number two is your website. I mean, particularly professional services, people think that, hey, you know, I get referrals from other lawyers or other accountants, or I meet people networking, you know, it's me that they're buying, I don't need this fancy website. Oh, guess what, folks? Where do you go when you meet somebody and you want to find out if it's worth calling them? Do you check out their website? Yeah, so we got to make sure that we've got a website that works for us, okay? It's got to be professional looking, but more important than that, it's got to have the right information on it. Your contact information can't be buried someplace. It's got to be fairly obvious. You want to make sure on your website that you don't list every single thing you could do if somebody asked you to, but you focus on what are the few things that really you're known for, you're really good at, what's your niche. So here's a tip. You want to figure out what goes on a good website? Go to some of the successful website design firms and successful search engine marketing firms, like the people across the street here, like that I have up here, and look at their website. You think maybe they know a little bit about what they're doing and apply to themselves? Sometimes. So look at a couple, right? That's a good way to get an idea for what should and shouldn't be on your website. Okay? Fair enough. Now, you want to have a contact form, but your website can't just be passive anymore, right? It can't just be what they call brochureware. You put all your stuff up there and people get to look at it and hope something happens. You want to have a compelling call to action. You want to have it so it's easy for them to contact you and have a reason to. Simple stuff, simple stuff. Number 3, fuzzy file. Oh boy, this is tough. Now, fuzzy file is just a way to organize and act on all of the information you learn about your clients. All right, we all know somebody is a sailing hobbyist, or maybe they're a competitive sailor, or we know somebody who's a golfer, or somebody who went to Michigan State, or somebody who's from the UP. We gather all these facts about our clients. And here's why this is important. A salesperson has 2 jobs. Protect the accounts they have and plunder somebody else's. So if you have to get new business, you're in the plundering business. Guess what your competition's doing with your accounts? Turn your top accounts are their top targets. Now, the way to keep clients from switching is to get to know them as individuals, okay, and act on them. You got to make sure they know that you know them as individuals. It's that trust in that Eric was talking about earlier. We got to build on that. So a fuzzy file is just an organized way to collect personal, professional information about your clients, and then what you want to do is act on it. So you want to send them information about their hobbies, their interests, that sort of stuff. And the best way to do that is to just, when you see something cool about their hobby or interest in a magazine or newspaper, cut it out and mail it to them. Handwrite the envelope. How many of you get mail? Snail mail, right? We all do. How many of you go through your mail and never see something that's handwritten? Right? Never, ever. So it really stands out when you do something like that. What do you think happens on the day that Derek gets my article about? What are you interested in, Derek? What are you doing? Michigan State basketball. Okay. Michigan State basketball. So I read a nice article. Some obscure magazine that I know Derek probably doesn't read. If it's a Sports Illustrated, it's no big deal. But if it's something obscure, I might cut that out and send it to him. Is that the first or the last piece of mail he's going to read that day?
First.
We get pretty darn excited about that sort of stuff, don't we? And nobody does it, right? So it's an easy way to protect your accounts, guys. An easy way to protect your accounts, which are your top targets of your competitors. Now, sometimes people tell me, it's a whole lot easier, Mike, just to go online and send an email link. Yeah, it's a lot easier. But let's face it, I mean, if sending a hand-cut-out article in a hand-dressed envelope is a 10 out of 10, what's the value of a link emailed to somebody? It might be a 5 out of 10, right? It's not useless. But how many of us, when we get an email, we just file it away and wait until we have time to read it, and then every weekend we look through our 100 things that we saved that week and we delete 90 of them without even opening it, right? So it's a lot more effective to do the handwritten letter thing. Okay, 30-second commercial. This is just an elevator pitch that's twisted a little bit. It's twisted in a couple ways. Everybody knows what elevator pitch is, right? What I do, who I am, that sort of thing. Well, 30-second commercial isn't about you, it's about them. So we want to talk to people that we meet. Maybe at a networking event, maybe it's picking up the phone, making a cold call. Maybe it's just talking to somebody that we meet in line at the grocery store. We want to talk about the issues, the pains that our clients come to us with. If it's about them, they'll zero in on it. If it's not about them, they'll hear the same thing they hear with the elevator pitch, which is what? Blah, 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 blah. And that's okay. If you throw out there your pains and the pains you typically deal with, and it doesn't apply to them, you just sorted them out. That's okay. Fair enough. And we want to make it emotionally compelling, and we want to do it in a conversational way. And that's tough. It takes a lot of work. So I'm trying to give you an example, see if I can do this. So, hi, I'm Mike Wynn with Sandler Training, and Now, I typically work with folks who are they're struggling to grow their sales, and it might be that they're just starting out, and they're overwhelmed with all the opportunities, but can't seem to get past that first sale. Or it might be that they got an existing business, they're just fed up with being at a plateau and not being able to grow from where they are. So we help them with a lot of things around prospecting, qualifying, closing, all that stuff. So I don't imagine that growing sales is an issue for you. So at the end, we throw out a little question that they need to deny that that's not a problem for them. Okay, so real straightforward. You want to have your 30-second commercial down pat so that you can talk about them, not you. You can do it in a real short and concise way, and they can either respond or not respond. Okay. Drip marketing. Drip marketing. Any marketers here? You're going to love this one. This is a very important part of prospecting. So we all have this infinite universe of people who could buy from us, right? What we need to do is figure out categorically who really are our target prospects. What do they look like? What do they feel like? What do they sound like? And we need to identify who those folks are and start dripping on them. What I mean by that is we want to send them information about our company, what we do, our services, all that sort of stuff in a variety of ways and build trust over time. It's a real credibility builder. When I was in consulting, we had a drip marketing list of maybe 10,000 folks that we sent stuff to probably every month. Some of it by mail, postcards, flyers, that sort of stuff. A lot of it by email. Some as email attachments, some as strict HTML emails. Why would you do that? Why would you do 2, 3 different kinds of email formats? See what works? That's a good one. Different things appeal to different people. Yeah, some people open any attachment you send them, right? Other people, I'm not opening as attachment. There's another part. I was marketing to very large companies, filters, right? A lot of folks don't get stuff with attachments, or they don't get HTML emails, whatever it is, you don't know. So you gotta send a variety of stuff. There's 3 reasons we're doing this. One is credibility. So the reason I brought up my personal story was that our response rate, when we would send something out to our drip marketing list versus a purchased list, how much more effective do you think our response rate was for our dripped list, the folks that we've been sending stuff to over time?
Much more. Several
10
times.
times, 100 times. 100 times more better response rate on actually purchasing stuff when we dripped on people. So the name of this game is collect the information of people. Whenever you meet somebody who's a part of your target, put them in your database. You're always building your database, and you got to drip on them a variety of ways. You got to let them opt out, right? We've got to make this socially useful. But if you're sending out valuable information, tips on how to do things that you're the expert for, if they're in your target market, they care about that. So we want to send that sort of stuff out. So drip, often, probably every other month at a minimum, you want to reach out to people, and you want to just keep dripping on them, and they will eventually raise their hand and say, hey, I want to buy from you. And that's the idea we want to get to. So it helps us with credibility, tremendous. These routine touches, this is some of the professional service providers really, really suffer from. I'm not sure about the rest of you, the roller coaster effect. You guys have that? You get busy, you stop doing what? Prospecting, and what happens? Your business dries up, and it's a panic, right? So drip marketing is something that sort of happens in automatic pilot. It's scheduled. No matter how busy you are, you make sure you get that stuff out. So it helps smooth out the roller coaster a little bit. The third part about this is, it's really funny, but if you are always sending something to people, and they're in a staff meeting, and somebody says, we ought to look into some sales training. If your stuff isn't in their inbox, they know it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. They don't have to go search for a sales training provider. They just wait for the next thing from Sandler. It's that easy. So you want to make it that easy for people. Okay. Oh, presentation. So this is a great way to prospect. Now, we need to translate it from passive prospecting to active prospecting. We talked about that, but there's really, when I want to talk about presentations, I want to talk about 3 parts to it. The first part is getting the presentations. You got to prospect for presentations as hard as you prospect for clients, right? So if you have a goal of making so many cold calls or going to so many networking events, part of what we call your cookbook, your goal should be picking up the phone and calling people who put on presentations like this. You have to actively reach out and do it. It doesn't matter how prestigious you are in your field, you still got to prospect for presentations. So that's the first one. So develop a list of topics with some short descriptions that you can offer that would be appealing to organizations, and go after those organizations. Every one of them has somebody who's looking for speakers. Okay, if there's regular talks going on, whether it's Rotary or LA2M or the Chamber of Commerce, they're always looking for good speakers. You got to find them, you got to get your information to them. The second thing is you got to give a good presentation. You can't get up there and read your slides. You can't get up there and talk about stuff and from your world and your jargon that doesn't relate to the people you're talking to. You really got to do a good job of delivering the message, talking the language, the points of interest to the people you're talking to, so they come away with some value add. Fair? Are we doing that? Anybody getting anything yet? Okay, keep going. Okay. All right, that's the ball there. All right, so you got to deliver on the message. You got to talk on the topic that you promised to talk about. Anybody ever been to a presentation we're supposed to be in topic A and they never even get to topic A? It's so frustrating. That's a great way not to get invited back, by the way. Then the third thing is, well, during your presentation, we want to turn it from passive to active. And the way to do this, simple way to do that is you want to offer them something of value. So at the end of today's talk, I'm going to say to you guys, hey, this top 10 strategies for growing your professional practice, you want a copy of it? Give me your business card. Okay? I'll be happy to send it to you. On your business card, write down why you want me to contact you. That means yes. Write down N if you don't want me to contact you. That means no and I won't. Okay? It's that simple. Right? So every time I give a talk, I get people who say, yeah, I think I ought to talk to you about, see if you can help me grow my business. And you have to get clients out of it. A lot different than what I used to do in the old days, which was, hey, I'd be happy to send you my presentation, just give me your card. I'd have a stack of cards this big, and every one of them looked like a prospect to me. How many of them were? Like 1 out of 50. So half the time I didn't even follow up with them, all right? So I want to know who wants me to call them. So write Y in your card, I'll call you. Write N in your card, I won't. It's that easy. That's presentation. Networking. Now, this is a pretty important one for this group, I think, because we are a networking function, right? So we got to network effectively. And one of the things you got to keep in mind, remember, prospect is a sorting exercise. You're not selling anything. You're just trying to figure out who you should be talking to. One of the most important things in networking is the give and get. Okay? Give to get. If you can make introductions, one person to another who might want to talk to each other, those people are going to keep their eyes open, their radar on, to see if they can help you out. Okay? So I always come to a networking event with a goal. The goal of being 2 people to follow up with and introducing at least one person to another person. It's a valuable introduction. Okay, so you want to have a goal. You got to actively get out there and talk to people who you don't know. For some of us, that's hard, right? I personally don't enjoy it, but it's part of my goals. Am I going to get 2 people to follow up with if I don't get out there and talk to folks? Probably not. I'm sure if I sat in the corner, you guys would all come talk to me, right? I tried that, didn't work. So you got to be active. You got to get out there. And what we want to do with our natural instinct is, hey, Rich, Mike, Wynn, let me tell you about Sandler training, right? It doesn't work because people shut down. What do they hear? Blah, 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 blah. So there's some natural social cues that we can use to get them to ask us. What we want to do is have them ask us a question. So, Mike, what do you do? So the way to do that is say, Rich, what do you do, man? Tell me about your company. He will tell me about his company, and I'm listening. I want to know. And at the end, what is he going to say? So what do you do? Yeah, it's that easy. So it really takes the pressure off of you, takes the pressure off of the other people in the room. Have a conversation, get to know people. Not everybody's a prospect. It's just a sorting exercise. It's real straightforward stuff. Client testimonials, particularly professional services, where people are a lot of times are looking for that third-party story for credibility before they hire somebody. if you're gonna hire a lawyer or a web designer or an accountant, you probably wanna know what their clients think about it, fair? So a great way to shortcut this is to get client testimonials. So the first step is to have some clients. Anybody there yet? The next step is to have happy clients. Anybody there yet? Okay. There's a reason to service your clients. You wanna make them happy. And then you gotta ask. You know, the conversation is just something like this. Hey, Rich, listen, we've been working together for a while. Has what we've done really made an impact for you? And Rich will start to spill, yeah. And they'll start to tell you why. See, that sounds great, you know. I don't imagine you'd be willing to put a testimonial out there for me, you know. Send me an email with what you have to say about us. And you can go one step further. You can offer to rough draft, ghostwrite the testimonial for them. Based on what they said, right? You don't want to put words in their mouth, but take the effort off of their shoulders. If they agree, send them the email, have them send it back. Usually they just say that sounds great, or they might want to change things a little bit, right? And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with it. So where are some places that you can put client testimonials right now today? Stacy?
Your website.
Your website, yeah, I mentioned that right
Your
there.
brochure.
On your brochure, yeah.
Top of your email.
Bottom of your email. You know? In professional services, a lot of times you'll walk into an attorney's office and they'll have letters, testimonial letters framed on the wall. It's good stuff. There's lots of places you can put this stuff. How about LinkedIn? Anybody here do recommendations? You get recommendations? I went through an exercise. I decided a couple of years ago, I said, for a month, I'm going to do a recommendation a day. I didn't ask anybody to give me recommendations. I just did them, right? For people that I knew and trusted and thought the world ought to know good things about. So I wrote all these recommendations, and guess what happened? Some people wrote me recommendations, and they weren't all the same people that I wrote recommendations for. How about that? People on networks saw me being active, giving, and they thought, you know what, this guy Mike, good stuff. I'm going to write a recommendation for him, even though I didn't write a recommendation for them. I did later. Now I think about it, but that was reciprocity. So good stuff. You can start a peer group. This is awesome. This is awesome. Anybody here remember BNI or Wynn or LBN or any of that stuff? Okay, can be a very productive way. These are lead referral groups. A very productive way to find folks, get introductions to folks that may or may not be a good fit for you, might be fine for you. You don't have to join one of those groups though. You can start your own referral group. You can, that way you can make the rules and don't pay any money. It's kind of nice. But here's how it starts. You find a couple people, just two, who sell to the same sorts of folks that you sell to, and they have, not competing services, but complementary. Say, I'm thinking about starting some sort of a peer group, a lead referral group. We'd have to get together, probably once a month and maybe twice a month. Interested? And a lot of times folks say, yeah, it sounds good to me. It's okay, well, the cost of entry is you got to find one more person. And next thing you know, you got 10 or 15 people meeting regularly. Now, I'm part of one, we only have 6. We wanted to make it very specialized. Folks who just sell to companies with a fairly large sales force. So we get together once a month. We spent invested a lot of time in learning about each other's businesses so that we could be the eyes and ears for each other out there in the field. Good stuff. Good stuff. Last one is Caesar review. Okay, this might be a stretch for some of you. You know how you work? Any of you work with companies? You have companies as clients? Anybody do that? Okay. You probably have somebody that you work with in the company, right? That's your point of contact. And you got to treat that person well. Okay. But they have a boss, or their boss has a boss, somebody who actually approves your budget and has the juice to say, fire that person, I want that person. Is that fair? That's fair. So that's what your Caesar is. Caesar stands for Chief Executive Semi-Annual Review. The Chief Executive in your world is the highest level person in the company who knows you exist as a provider. Okay, so think about who that is for you. Take your largest client, figure out who that is. Who's your Caesar? The highest level person who knows that you exist as a provider. How often do you see this person? Not very, right? If at all. Maybe you just know their name in some cases. So what a Caesar review is twice a year, that's a semi-annual review part of it. You call them up and you say, hey, I'd like to have 15 minutes of your time, find out your perspective on how we're doing for your company. And do they give me 15 minutes? 100% of the time. Who wouldn't want to be able to tell a provider whether or not they're doing a good job and what they need to do a better job? They're paying the money, they're doing the best service they can, right? So you ask them 5 questions, and these questions in their order are very important. The first one is, hey, Mr. Caesar, Mrs. Caesar, just for my own knowledge, your perspective, why did you bring us in? Why did you hire us? Okay, and they'll share that with you. The next question is, okay, how are we doing in that area? And it may be completely different than why your point of contact wanted to hire you, by the way. Is that possible sometimes? You want to find out from the Caesar's perspective why they brought you in. The second question is, how are we doing in that area? And you might have to help them refresh their memory of the things you've done for them, because they're a little bit removed from the day-to-day of what you do for the company, right? The third question is, geez, what would get us fired? That's a pattern interrupt. They don't get that question asked very often, do they? It gets their attention. Well, do you want to know what would get you fired, by the way? Good information to know? Yeah. If they say, well, geez, if your company's late with one more order, we're switching. It's a hotline back to headquarters, right? We can't afford to be late on any more orders with these guys. Okay, so why'd you bring us in? How are we doing? What would get us fired? The next question, what else should we be doing for you? The people who are your Caesars have a span of control that's far beyond the portion of the organization you're servicing. Fair? Typically, they have divisional responsibility, and you're just dealing in a plant or whatever it is in your world. So they just asking the questions. A lot of times, kids think, yeah, you know what? You're doing a good job for me here. I need to have you do a similar thing over here, something completely different over there. Okay. The last question is just, it's pretty simple. Who else should we be talking to? Because again, let me ask you this. People at the top of companies, the Caesars in your world, are they pretty well networked in your industry? In your community or their community? Typically these are the movers and shakers. They're very well networked. And they're very eager to share good providers. So they usually attend things like, what's that president's organization? Or tech, right? They're part of a tech group where they pay $10,000 a year to get together with other CEOs for one day a month and share ideas, share problems. So they belong to these organizations. They love to share you with their peers. If only they thought of it. So you got to help them out a little bit. All right. Who else should we be talking to?
Question on how high up you go, because I know you go so high, they don't really know you, or
How high
people
do
are
you go?
putting paper
Great
in front of
question.
them to sign off on.
Great question. How high do you go? I was working with Caterpillar. This is going back a few years in my old world. And my point of contact was the corporate ergonomist. The corporate manager of health and safety was his boss. His boss was the director of health and safety. And her boss was the vice president of administration or something like that. I had my Caesar review with the vice president of administration. He called up a plant manager, another plant. I showed up, we got an order for $300,000. I didn't have to sell anything. The higher you go, the better. Okay. I couldn't believe it. You know how hard I worked to get a $300,000 order? And he just picked up the phone and said, you got to use these guys. They solved this problem over here, you got this problem. Hire them. No competitive threat, no sales cycle. Just show up and do it. It was spectacular. Should have done more of that. Think of it. So go as high as you can. Now, they have to know you exist. That's the ceiling. So that's our 10 tips, or 10 areas. And so what I want you to do is take out your business card, or if you don't have one, I got a blank one for you. I'd be happy to send you our top 10 strategies for growing your professional practice. It's a PDF document with all kinds of tips and tricks around these things. Also, if you want to attend tomorrow at lunch, anybody here like to network at lunch? Okay. So tomorrow at lunch we have something called Executive Luncheon. It's a 2-hour overview of what we do at Sandler, but it's also good networking with business owners. So if you're a business owner, if you own your own company, and you want to come to that, I'd be happy to invite you. We'll waive the, I think, what, $91? We'll waive the $91 fee because I met you here. So that makes it all fun. At the bottom of your card, okay, I want you to write down Q, R, and S. So if you have any questions for me about what we talked about, maybe you have a question about, gee, Mike, would you want to see if maybe I have the kind of problems you help people solve? Circle Q, I'll call you and say, what questions do you have? Circle R stands for referrals. Maybe you don't have the kind of problems that a sales trainer, sales coach, sales consultant help fix, but you know somebody who does. Circle R, I'll call you up and say, geez, Rich, you circled R, what do you want me to call? And we'll have a conversation. S stands for speaking. Maybe you're part of an organization that brings in outside speakers, and you know, I do a lot of outside speakers as part of my prospecting mix. So if you'd like to refer me to an organization that is looking for speakers, just circle X, I'll call you up and say, what do you want me to call you? Fair enough? So at the end of the session, just go and bring up your business cards. If you don't want any of this stuff, keep your business cards in your pocket. Okay. So that's all I have for you. You have some time for questions there?
No, not really.
Oh.
Yeah, you're actually remarkably right on time. So it's 12:40. Yeah, so circle Q on your card if you have questions.
There you go.
And yeah, I feel like we could actually talk about this for another hour. That was a very, very compelling talk. And I learned a lot. Did anybody else learn a lot in that talk? Yeah. Nice job. Nice job. So now we go around the room. Start over here tonight. We go around the room and we introduce ourselves. So if you could please give us your name and your company. And if there's something that we can do for you, briefly tell us. And then pass the mic to your friend and we'll get all the way around this room in about 18 minutes. Yes, here we go.
Mike pointed out, my name's Rich from Sandler Training. I'm pretty new, and if something he said didn't make sense to you today, just come to me, and I'll talk about that. So.
My name's Dave Beck. I'm from Advanced Industries. We are a manufacturer of medical components and other CNC produced goods, and if you need any machined goods, let me know.
Hi, I'm Eric Rodriguez, Client Services Manager with Ingenix Digital Marketing.
Hi, I'm Becky Reed. I just graduated from Michigan State University, and I'm currently interning at Ingenix.
Hello, I'm Brent Cohn. I'm a personal financial planner, looking to shift my career back into more of the corporate world where I spent most of my career, so I'm here as a networking opportunity.
Hi, I'm Bob Shannon. I got my own CPA firm. I specialize in helping startups and IT companies handle your tax, financial, and administrative problems. Any questions? 734-330-4205.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Baruch. I do quantitative analysis, market research, and applied sociologist. I turn data into information into knowledge. And if you're lacking information and knowledge, I help you get the data to turn it into all of those things.
I'm Roger Rail, and I'm an information consultant, and I give good advice.
I'm Don Stillwell with Decide Solutions, providing CAD solutions and as well as simulation and product documentation solutions for the Ann Arbor area.
Emmett from Decide Solutions, so ditto what we do, account manager for the Rochester to Macomb area.
I'm Steve Schwartz. I own RateMyStudentRental.com that licenses out private label student housing portal to colleges and universities, and I have a software company called Alpha Django LLC that builds web applications.
Hello, I'm Jim Campbell from ExcitingProductions.com. We specialize in helping people introduce themselves to potential customers and building that connection so that they will contact you.
Hi, I'm Kathy Szynski, marketing consultant for LA2M Marketing and Design. And any of the things that Mike talked about, we can help you review all of your sales and marketing collateral to make sure that you're speaking in the right language to your prospects.
Hi, I'm Tammy Piesky, sales manager for Amazing Blue Taxi, 24-hour taxi and airport service.
Hi, I'm Peter Clay, do business development for Parrish Advertising and Design, where we like things simple and different. If you'd like to see something simple and different, we just launched a new website for the Detroit Downtown Partnership called digdowntown.com. If you're looking for fun and interesting things to do in downtown Detroit.
Hi, I'm Maureen Brady, and I'm with RCS Cleaning Service, and we provide your
janitorial service supplies and your cleaning service.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Al Pacha with Alpha Inc., IT technology and software development company.
I'm Greg Aker. I'm a freelance web developer.
My name is Bruce Shields. I'm a graduate student from the University of Michigan. I'm interning at a company called the LA2M downtown.
Hi, I'm Brooke Elliott. I work for an advanced engineering services company called Superior Controls, and I do sales, marketing, and government contracting.
Hi, Jim Elliott, e-commerce automotive executive, currently consulting with dealerships, empowering them to take control of their presence on the web and turn it into revenue.
Hi, I'm Matthew Alter. I'm the co-founder of MattConsulting.com with small business operations.
Hi, my name is Jose Villanakis, and don't worry about trying to pronounce that last name. I'm also co-founder of Matt Consulting, IOE graduate from University of Michigan.
I'm Darius Smith, with advertising sales with Arbor.com.
Kevin Curry, Director of Sales, Arbor.com.
Hi, Alex Bachman, doing sales for BC Web Design. Hi, I'm Rachel Kelly, Marketing Director for BC Web Design. We like to get to know you and then help you to develop a very cool online profile. Anything from regular web design to having a media presence, creating video.
Hi, I'm Megan Shipley, and I'm a marketing consultant for Arbor Annuity Exchange, where we work with independent insurance agents in the life and annuity industry.
Hi, my name is Eric Orban. I work for Money Source Financial Services and marketing and accounting student at Eastern.
I'm Dr. Kuldeep Verma. I'm owner of the company EuroBiologics.com. We specialize in testing urine from non-pregnant and pregnant women and plan their family, whatever they want. They can plan their family.
I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl, so I have to balance. But my name is Amar. I just moved back to Ann Arbor from overseas. I've been doing energy consulting overseas, particularly renewable, and I just joined Ann Arbor Sparks and the office in East Sparks, Ypsilanti today. So sorry I was late, but I do have a business idea, and I appreciate getting any feedback about renting electric scooters on college campuses. So if anyone thinks there's something here, I'd appreciate some feedback. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Diane Children-Koo. I'm a digital marketing specialist. I help people generate leads, build online credibility, and communicate in their drip with their customers and their prospects. If you can think of anyone that might need my services, please see me afterwards.
Hi, my name is Jim Overbeck, and I'm from Result Management Group, and we specialize in CCTV cameras and what we call them fuzzy images. If you have fuzzy images from your cameras, there's a reason, and we can help you.
Good afternoon. To follow up on today's presentation, I had a good experience with a client. They liked me so much, they made me CEO of his business. And that business is Import Technologies. It's a Michigan State spin-out. We are developing nanoparticles, which will be used as a plastic additive to make your plastic stronger, lighter, fire retardant, or some combination of the above. And if you all will just indulge me for 1 second, I do want to brag. Great Lakes Entrepreneurs by GLEQ had their award ceremony last week. 45 companies had entered the Smart Zone Award. 21 actually submitted business plans. Import Technologies was the first winner of a $100,000 award. So we're quite pleased.
Hi, Tom Crawford. I run a company called Viz Network, and we help you communicate better using the visual arts. Specifically, if you have a presentation you need to give to an important client, come see me and I can help make that the best it can be.
Hi, I'm Tammy Burgess with Women Making Connections. And if you are interested in expanding on your 30-second speech, we have Smart, Sassy, Successful Women at Sandler Training Center this evening at 5 o'clock. You can see me and we can get you registered. Thanks.
Ian Sachs, Profit Makers, business advisor, and I can overemphasize that you pay attention to the fundamentals of business, and this is what you heard today.
Hi, my name is Mary Shandell, and I have a background in sales and marketing, and I'm looking for a new opportunity.
Good afternoon, my name is Kim McIntyre. I am a freelance marketer with Blue Skies Unlimited, and if you are in need of marketing help and you don't want to hire a full-time marketing professional, you can look to contact me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen Epstein. Thinking about starting a consulting business and trying to kind of weave the organizational culture into the processes and to the professional development in organizations. So if you have any thoughts on that, I'd appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Dave Kozil, and I'm with the Arbor Software, and we specialize in building mobile applications, in particular iPhone applications, and we can work with you to bring your brand to a mobile platform. And we've got Megan here to talk about our experience doing that.
Dave Lucille actually designed the Chamber's upgraded free iPhone app, A2I Chamber. It includes new features such as it's searchable, the events are now included, our news is now included, and we include Twitter feeds from the businesses that are listed. So if you want more information, please see us afterwards.
Hi everybody, I'm Stacy from Dollarville Copying, a local digital print shop. But I would like to toot Mike's horn because I just finished his 8-week training class and it was wonderful and I learned a ton, and of course now I have to apply it. But everything he said up there, he expands upon in his training classes, and it really gets you motivated to get out there and sell and keep networking and build your business. So make sure you talk to him about that if you want to expand your business.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Reisner. I came to LA2M last week saying that I was looking for an internship in social media marketing. And as of an hour ago, I'm now an intern with Nginx with Derek. So great place to network and
Hi, I'm Chris Mullins. I'm a search engine marketing account manager at Research Vision.
Hi, I'm Angela Cuyaba with Logic Solutions, and you can easily transform your business by using better technology. Logic Solutions can help develop it, including mobile applications, funny words, but also web applications and services in China.
Hello everyone. I love connections like that here. It's definitely a good place to be. I'm Elena. I'm at Northwestern Mutual, and what I do is just help people align their actions with their intentions. So I think that everyone has the best of intentions, but sometimes the actions just aren't there to follow. So that's what I help people with.
Hi, I'm Tom Garrett. I'm with LA2M. We try to help organizations improve their financial performance through certified training and business intelligence solutions.
Hello, I'm Quasimodo. We make bells ring in church towers, cash registers, and telephones. You can find us online at curvedetroit.com.
That's a hard one to follow. What up? I'm Spencer. I'm with Working Exchange, and if you're looking for extremely cheap office space on Main Street between Huron and Washington, let me know. I can hook you up. Thank you.
Pretty colorful. I'm Mark Olivier. I do affiliate marketing.
Hi, I'm Irish Berlin Photography Studios. I do commercial and editorial portrait photography, and I'm afraid you won't have my lens in your face next couple of weeks unless you're at the U.S. Track and Field Championships next week or the Jamie Farr Owens County Classic the week after. Somebody might be, I don't know, they're a golfer over there.
Thanks, Carter. We're going to miss you the next couple weeks. Speaking of Carter, he takes photos at the events, and Megan, who's interning at Nginx as well, is just populating all of the past events with photos. So it's really cool. Go look at our archived events. Each one has a nice video, a nice photo set, and the podcast. So if you missed any, you can go back and watch them on your spare time. And yeah, my name is Derek Marabant, CEO of Nginx Digital Marketing, and we do web design, we do search optimization, social media, all that type of fun stuff. And excited to have Tiffany on board. It's, be careful what you ask for at LA2M because you just might get it. It's really true. All you people that are asking for things, and hopefully it's all good things. So I want to say thanks again to Mike Wynn because that really rocked. Let's give him another round of applause. I think Mike does a really good job of representing Sandler, and that was great. So now because Dee Davies not here today. We all miss Dee, but Megan Crosby, see Megan, tall blonde, right here. She's going to tell us about next week's speaker.
So up next week, security threats to social media and networking sites. We have Dave Lindenbury and Scott Wells, security professionals at Social Threat, and they'll be here to talk about that, so don't miss it.
Yeah.
And also,
All right, go ahead. I was going to say next week is going to be crazy. If any of you know Dave Lindenbury, this is like his new thing, this social threat. So we're a rain jacket, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was also going to say that we have sponsorships available for the newsletters. We won't be doing the newsletters in August because we won't have events. So, but we don't have anyone lined up after June. So if you're interested, you can sponsor a newsletter for as low as $30, or if you want the whole month, it's only $100. So see me after if you're interested. Thanks.
How many folks did that do?
Yeah. Did you want to do it?
It's important to say, who are you reaching for that?
And I think Megan McCann still wants it. We just need to get $100. Yeah. For one. Yeah, she'll send me $100. Okay, so anyways, come back next week. I'm speaking in 2 weeks, so mark it on your calendar, which is it's actually Social Media Day is the day that I'm speaking. Yeah, so get on your social media hats. And thanks to all of you who came out. See you next time. Thanks.